Hi, everyone. Welcome back in to Integrative Approaches and Healthier Living. I'm Tami here with Coach Chris. Today, we're going to be talking about strength and not just in the physical sense, but also a mental sense, right? We can be stressed and that wears on our strength. And we're really going to focus around, I think, the physical stress, but we're gonna touch on most of those things. So, Chris, how are you doing today?
Doing well, Tammy. How are you doing?
Good, good. So this was your topic, right? Now I think, no, I take that back. I think they're both our topic. So it's all good. But this is really, I'll say, in your wheelhouse, right? You're all about the strength training and you're on me all the time about Tammy, you're not getting enough strength training in. So we are going to talk about why strength training might be the missing link in our wellness routines. And especially if you're dealing with fatigue or, we have the shifts in the hormones or, we're feeling ungrounded and just generally lethargic and we don't have the energy to go do the things we want to do. So, can you share why strength training is important for us?
Yes, absolutely. I did make a list of like notes. I mean, as far as like strength training is concerned, but it's there's so many different great reasons. But we'll start from I guess the underlying, which would be like hormones. And we've kind of been touching, back and forth like for a while now on the topic of dopamine and how key that is for things like motivation and mood, um, and just well-being in general. The strength training is really an important factor in regards to dopamine, so helping raise levels of dopamine. And it's one of the things like we touched on last time, like cold showers, which you love, um, that actually help build dopamine, throughout the day. So after you do it, it builds and it will stay higher like throughout the day, which is cool for things like
Really?
motivation.
Cold showers help build dopamine throughout the day?
Yes, yes,
Oh,
cold
I had
showers
no
as
idea.
well. Yeah, cold
Who
showers
knew?
as well. Yeah, but they help build dopamine. But the other big one is growth hormone. So growth hormone, and so strength training also helps release, or we'll say inspire the release of growth hormone. And we're going to get into in a second, like, while that's important. But again, there's other things like it stimulates your good fat loss hormones. Um, Men specifically, it can generally greatly raise like testosterone and really help boost testosterone, which is also very important for men that are aging. But to move past that, because I don't want to like go too far into that, like the hormone side of things, is that okay? Well, what are the benefits? Like, why could this be the missing link? In one is aging. Like there is a lot of research that is coming out now. It's really showing that resistance training specifically is like really the only fountain of youth. And so people are spending all this money on creams or things that, you know, they're trying to do to look younger, but they're not working out and doing resistance training. They're missing a key element there. The other one that I know that you're big on is stress relief. Um, uh, of course, like that can be tied back into dopamine because dopamine is huge in regards to stress relief, but strength training can be great for that. The other big one is things like high blood pressure, coronary like risk factors and stuff like that, like things like cholesterol. Strength training again is and resistance training in general is really good for helping raise our HDL levels. So like it can help offset that and with that good cholesterol. So I think that's the key ones. I'm just gonna double check my
Well,
notes.
one more, if I may.
Go ahead.
A big one for me. We've talked about it multiple
Oh
times,
yes,
you and I, osteoporosis,
absolutely. Bone health.
right? As
Yep.
as we get older, we start to lose more and more bone.
Yep.
Uh, so yeah, that becomes a very valuable part of our activity and it needs to be part of our lifestyle. So
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree with you on that one. That's especially for women, that are over the age of 30, like it's pretty crucial. Um, Interesting note too, like there's a lot of newer research that's supporting that a big part of our decrease in metabolism is due to muscle loss in both sexes. Now, men generally lose less muscle mass per year over the age of 30 than women do, but we're finding nowadays in the research that increasing resistance training can be huge in restoring one's metabolism. One more caveat on, or not one more caveat, but one more point on this one is they're also coming out now and showing that things like Alzheimer's is greatly affected by whether somebody does resistance training or not. So it increases your risk of things like Alzheimer's and dementia, which is also uh, well, very cool because
That's very interesting.
yeah,
We'll have to provide some research for the listeners if we can on that.
yeah,
I'd love to read that too.
absolutely. That's what
Yeah.
I got for now for this one, Tammy. So what else do you have to add for us?
Well, so I think, just to kind of tie in some of our own personal experiences into this
Yeah,
story, this journey, strength training for me, I think I may have touched previously on a brief minute about how I used to work out in a gym, like a lot of people probably do and prefer, and worked with a weight trainer and did,
personal trainer.
yeah, exactly. Thank you, a personal trainer.
Yeah, yeah.
And I was squatting, I was doing 90 pounds. I was pushing 90 pounds,
Right.
and I was, I think, weighed less than I do right now at, the 130-ish mark that I'm at. And I was like, holy cows, wow, this is pretty impressive for me. And but at the same time, it was probably a bit much for my little body. And yeah. So, anyways, nonetheless, it was still a wonderful experience. But now, as I've continued to age gracefully, I am finding that I really prefer my workouts at home. So I have, I've acquired all the little tidbit equipment. I have my strength bands and my hand weights and some kettlebells and my Bosu balls and things like that. And you and I have developed a beautiful like daily routine that I can go through to work on,
Right,
have a
right.
leg day, core day, upper body day, or then combine those three into one routine. So I'm sharing because there are ways to start doing some strength training. And for those that are like, I'm sitting on the couch right now and I haven't moved in 5 years, just start doing leg lifts while you're sitting on the couch, right? Just
Yeah,
lift
absolutely.
your leg, each one, do them together, do
Smallest
your
workouts.
arms, do something so that you're getting your blood pumping, your heart is pumping a little bit
Do
harder.
squats on and off the couch.
Exactly.
Like
Squats,
that would be
box squats, sit
probably one
squats.
of the best ones.
Yeah.
That one's actually funny, and that's one of the easiest ones, by the way. But speaking to the easy exercises that one can do at home, squats, and especially squats on the couch for people that are afraid of falling, it's probably the single best. Because I've had so many clients, especially that are actually some that are middle aged and to older, that are struggling. They struggle to like get on and off the couch. They're having to rock forward to get off the couch and use momentum to try to use their hands to get off the couch. Um, One of the people I'm referring to right now is somebody I've been coaching. She's not there anymore, but when we started, she's 35 years old, and she was already at the point where she could not get off the couch just using her legs alone. We're not talking about somebody with weight, so which is interesting, but in our
Well,
society we're so sedentary sometimes.
exactly. And a true fact, I have several friends that I'm very fortunate and blessed to know who went through lung transplant, right?
Right,
And some lung and liver. But nonetheless, many have has shared, CF patients, CF people that live with cystic fibrosis have shared, they have to go through a medical routine to be approved for the transplant. One of the key things they have to do is how many times can you sit and stand from a chair without using your hands in 60 seconds.
Yeah.
And and
That's
and a lot of people can't do that, or they
yeah,
can only
absolutely.
do like one or two, and that's all they can do. So,
Absolutely.
maybe that's just something fun that people try, just, have a chair and see how many times they can just go straight into a stand, no hands, and stand up and see how many times they can do it in 60 seconds. I challenge people to try that and let us know in the comments
Great challenge, yes.
how many times. And I will do a short and post it on how many times I can do a sit stand without my
Calling,
hands in
calling
60
yourself
seconds.
calling yourself out, huh? Okay. All right.
Whoop, whoop. Challenge accepted. We'll see. And then maybe in a few months I'll do it again and see how much I've improved.
All right. I look forward to seeing that myself. Speaking to
Super
my
cool. So do you
speaking
have
to
any personal story you'd like to share real quick for us?
personal like firsthand, like I mean I've seen with because for number of years, so I mean I'm on my second marriage. On my first marriage, right after we first got married, I put on quite a bit of weight, and had been like working out, um, lost like a lot of muscle mass, and noticed really quickly that we'll say metabolic consequences of that, because I shifted from being a lot of muscle mass to a lot of fat mass, and but um, and so I kind of fell into that same mindset that I've heard so many people tell me as clients that, just wait, just wait until you get older. You can't eat the things that you used to. You can't like look the way that you want to. And around like 35, I really started to like make a big shift in in my life and change my eating, get back into lifting weights. And around 37, like a couple years later, like I really uh, had hit like a really great point, like with my physique and everything like that. And I was like, I think 195 pounds and 10% body fat. But I was going from where I would literally gain weight, like body fat, if I was eating more than like 2,000 calories. But then to maintain my muscle mass at that my height and weight at that point with that level of muscle mass, I was generally eating about like 4,000 calories a day. So as that any less than that, like if I was eating like 3,500 calories, I would start to lose weight, like start to lose muscle mass, start to lose strength.
And let me interject real quick. How
Yeah,
tall are you?
I'm 6'1", so yeah,
Okay. Okay.
6'1". Um, Nowadays, it's like I'm not my goals aren't that aggressive anymore. We'll say like I'm not trying to stay as big
Or
as I want
ambitious?
or as ambitious. Yeah, as what they once were. But I'm still like now I'm 44 and I still eat close to like 3,200 calories a day just to maintain my muscle mass that I have on. And it's not just myself. Like I've seen this like hold true with like lots of other clients, where maybe they don't have any goals of putting on muscle mass. And I think that was a key point that you wanted to call out is lifting weights doesn't mean you're going to turn into a bodybuilder. All right, like it doesn't. Most people genetically aren't even capable of getting big, and a lot of the times the people that we see that are really really big are generally what we would call enhanced in the industry. Like they're using things that are probably illegal. But that being said, most people can't get that big. And lifting weights normally, just enough to like keep your strength up, won't result in you getting big, but it will definitely result in things like improved metabolism and improved bone health and all the other things that come along with it.
Interesting. So do you think you work out every day or every other day, or what would you recommend?
From, you know what? I will just say this. Again, from the research, we know that people can generally get away with a minimal of 2 to 4 sets per body part a week and see increases in strength. So that can be very easy. So that means like somebody could do like 2 chest exercises, 2 back exercises, 2 like squatting movement exercises. And then what they could expect to see is that they're going to improve strength. And now, like for that, if they're doing that, like say once or twice a week, you're talking about a time investment of less than 10 minutes each time you work out, maybe only twice a week, but you're going to see significant improvements in your strength.
And then also we could, just start with body weight, right? I mean, just kind of,
Absolutely.
even if we just, while we're sitting, you know, bring our shoulders back, you know,
Absolutely.
create space in the upper body, we're crunching, we're engaging our core. We can do, a variety of things just even from a seated position. And then
Absolutely.
as we get stronger or build more strength, then we can start moving around more and doing more in a standing
Yes.
position. For those
Absolutely.
that haven't done anything that much up to this point, and then of course for those that are already very active, then they can take it another step or two from there, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, honestly speaking, you're right. Like, and the truth be told, like, you don't need special equipment to do resistance training. Like, there's so much that's available to you with just body weight and the ability to train your body.
Well,
And
and another thing that I see people doing as they're walking by, and they're holding water bottles, right? You can have a water bottle in each hand and create a little bit more weight,
yes,
or canned foods or something like that, something that you already have in the house
yep.
that you can certainly use to and if you really were so inclined, you could use them as bicep curls if you really wanted to, if you were starting from zero.
I remember during the pandemic, I just used I bought myself a couple of the uh, 10 gallon, I think they're like 10 gallon tanks of water because at the time the the only the supermarkets were open, so I bought the big tanks of water, and I would, like prop myself up on chairs and do rows with 2 of the tanks of water in one arm, and then switch sides, and then I would hold them, like in my arms, like to do squats with,
Yeah, and
so
the
like
other
stuff
thing,
like that.
right, and the other thing that popped into my brain while you were saying that is laundry detergent jugs,
Yeah,
right? So, and especially when they're empty, then you can fill those with water and use
yeah,
those as,
yeah,
and they've got great handles on them already for the most part. So,
precisely. But truth be told, again, like to come back to just body weight stuff, like, you can use the back of your couch and do push-ups, like
or your
uh,
kitchen counter.
the wall, yes, the kitchen counter. You can take a towel and put it under your feet and pull back on the towel like in a seated position to train your back. Like we already talked about, you can easily like take and do squats over top of, your couch, especially if your balance compromised. So there's lots of options, and you can start from the very beginning, and or if you're somebody who's trained for a while, you could always take a more advanced approach.
Yeah, yeah. Cool stuff. Cool stuff. All exciting. It's invigorating me to get up and go do my strength training today. What? And I know, trust me, Chris is like, yeah, I'll believe it when I see it.
That's what I was thinking.
I know, I know. I gotcha. I gotcha. I know exactly what you were thinking. You looked at
But
me like, yeah,
you've been
right.
doing very well with your strength training recently, last week too. So
I've been backsliding,
no
they
no
say.
comments, no comments.
So, but for the most part, though, really, it's about consistency an intention and not the intensity,
Yes.
right? I mean, we have to set the intention that we're going to do it.
Right.
We need to actually do it and then just be consistent with it. So it's not that we're lifting or pushing 50, 60, 70, 270 pounds.
Right.
It's the actual idea that we're doing something.
I would argue though that would be where you should start. But eventually though, like they and that's the greatest start because most importantly is building the habit. Like, I know we've talked about that. But eventually at some point there does need to be an intensity element. Because it's like anything in life, there's no point for your body to change if the stimulus isn't intense enough. So, but again, more importantly, is building the habit first and foremost.
Yeah. Yeah. Makes sense. Makes sense. So, to do kind of a quick recap, I mean, do you have any other thoughts you'd like to add to this subject, this conversation? I mean, I think this has been pretty cool because, we've touched on strength training and why it's important and offered, I think, some pretty cool tips for people that, especially if they've not started or they're not super familiar with some thoughts and ideas. And yeah, I mean, and I'm excited to go do the 60-second chair challenge for squat, sitting,
All right. Well,
standing.
I think that's all for me, like, as far as this goes today.
So do we, so I know I called out a challenge for people to, tell how many sit stands they can do in 60 seconds.
Right.
And yeah, and then just reach out if they have any questions. If you guys have any questions on how to do something or where to do it or, strength training questions or anything like that, it's we need to reclaim our power, right? And our purpose and the energy and then just our overall health and wellness and well-being. And by taking these steps to help ourselves, we help our body, and then we're going to be available for ourselves and our friends and our family when they need us most,
Absolutely.
right? So thank you, Chris. Thanks for everybody who has tuned in this week. We hope that you have found something valuable or useful or helpful in this conversation. If you need help needing to know where to start or how to pick up where you dropped off or the next step, you've been doing something for a while now, just reach out. Let us know. Leave us a note in the comments. We're more than happy to help answer those and help you on your wellness journey. And if this conversation inspired you in any way, shape, or form, please like, subscribe, and share our channel. It helps us continue to help you. With much love, be well.
See you guys later.